Hey, Brian from Snake Bites here. This week's show is all about my passion for reptiles. You're watching Snake Bites. I have a saying where passion meets obsession, and I have certainly lived my life that way, completely obsessed with animals and in particular reptiles. As I was growing up, I really wanted to be a zookeeper or possibly a scientist that did field work in animals. But it wasn't until I was 16 years old that I bred and hatched my very first snakes, and they were corn snakes just like this one right here. I remember it so well. She laid 12 eggs and 12 little baby corn snakes hatched a couple months later. It was right then that I knew my life had to be dedicated to breeding snakes. The problem was there were no full-time snake breeders back then. The hobby was so much smaller than it is now, and so many of these beautiful mutations weren't even in existence. To be honest with you, back then when you produced snakes, you typically sold them very cheap and oftentimes just traded them for other snakes. So there certainly was no way to really make a living, but that was soon to change. What year did Brian officially open BHB Reptiles? A, 1989, B, 1992, or C, 1994? Go ahead and answer down below in the comments and check back later in the show to see if you had the correct answer. For this week's Reptile Report, we'll be highlighting Reptiles Canada. Go ahead and check out the URL down below or click on the link in the description. Enter the albino Burmese python. Many people, myself included, really credit albino Burmese for being the animal that really started the entire reptile hobby boom. Back in 1989, Bob Clark produced the very first baby albino Burmese, and believe it or not, he sold them for $1,600 a piece. Now you gotta remember, before this, no snakes had really major value, and this really started the investment quality reptiles, and it really is what started BHB Reptiles. I took the plunge and invested $3,200 in a pair of baby albino Burmese, and 2 years later, I produced 22 baby albinos, and that's really what got BHB off the ground. People ask me all the time, where did I learn everything I know about reptiles? And I always say it was from hands-on experience. Although there's plenty of opportunities to go to school to learn things about zoology and certainly herpetology, the truth is that working with the animals is where you're going to learn the very most about the animals. I always say that you have to observe them. Try to be as one with the animal as you possibly can be. But fortunately, there are tons of resources for people that are aspiring to work with animals right now. There's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's forums and websites. It's not hard to find tons of information from people that really know what they're doing. And I always say, make sure that you get a mentor or hook up with someone that's willing to share their information. Always support the people that are willing to share their knowledge to help you fulfill your dream of working with animals. But why reptiles? Why am I so obsessed with reptiles? I've told the story before, but my first memory as a child when I was 2 years old was of a ball python at the Belle Isle Zoo. Now, I believe that some people are just born with a passion for certain things. In my case, it was certainly reptiles. And some people grow to love them in the future. As a matter of fact, some people, believe it or not, fear snakes, and then they grow to love them. And I love those stories when someone tells me, I was terrified of snakes, and for one reason or another, they decided to get their first animal to overcome their fear, and then they have 50 or 100 snakes because they're absolutely obsessed with them. I started Snake Bites because I wanted to share my passion for reptiles with as many people that would want to watch, really not having any clue how long we would do the show or how many people would even watch, to be honest with you. But over the last 6 years, you guys have showed me so much support, And what's really interesting is that I've learned that I love production. I love being in front of a camera. I love being behind a camera, thinking of ideas, and I certainly love interacting with all of you. It's now my life goal to reach as many people with my message and to change people's perception of these often misunderstood animals. I was recently in Australia and fortunate enough to spend the day with Bob Irwin, Steve Irwin's dad, and I was so honored that he asked me to help run his Facebook page, the Bob Irwin Wildlife and Conservation Fund. Obviously, it's a huge conservation message, and we need your help to be the voice of animals. Certainly, my passion to reach people has turned into an obsession.
Passion is an intense emotion, compelling enthusiasm, or desire for anything. The term is also often applied to a lively or eager interest in or admiration for a proposal, cause, or activity, or love. To a feeling of unusual excitement, enthusiasm, or compelling emotion, a positive affinity or love towards a subject. Obsession is a state in which someone thinks about someone or something constantly and is frequently, especially in a way that is not normal.
If you want to spend your life working with animals, there's so many options out there. There's zoos, shelters, pet shops, field work, and even rescues, not to mention working for a place like mine.
Well, when I was a little kid, I was actually afraid of snakes, and that fear quickly turned into fascination. And before I knew it, when I was 14, I started working at a pet store. I worked there till after college, then I went to the Shed Aquarium, and it was only a matter of time before I found BHB.
Well, actually, ever since I can remember, I've always been an animal lover. And, you know, whether it be going to zoos or, you know, owning your typical cats or dogs. But what really did it for me was my first job was at a pet store when I was 16. I used to ride my bike there every day. And I was the guy that took care of the reptiles. And ever since then, I've been attached to them. I get my kids in them nowadays, and now I'm here and I'm loving it.
Well, I started working here in May. I had never worked with snakes before. They kind of freaked me out, to be honest, just because I didn't really know much about them. And my first day even, I wasn't sure if I could handle it because I got lots of bites and my whole hand was bleeding. But after a couple days, I just really fell in love with it and got really comfortable. And now I hardly get bit at all, and if I do, it doesn't hurt, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, no, I absolutely love it. It's been such a blast. It's been such an incredible journey. And now I'm just a huge reptile person. My zoo at home is growing by the day, so I can't wait to see where this leads. I'm really excited.
I've always had a passion for animals. I've been catching garter snakes ever since I can remember. And I think my grandfather is who really got me into snakes, though. I can remember he's always had this childlike passion for snakes, and he still does, and it's amazing. So his passion kind of drove my passion, I think, and between that and my professor who taught evolution in Central Michigan University, she had all these excellent stories about like going and visiting South American countries and discovering new anole species. And I think between her stories and my grandfather's passion, I kind of grew to love reptiles, and I think I'll always see myself working with snakes or some sort of reptile in the rest of my life.
Just like everyone else here, I was always an animal lover when I was a kid, so it's no surprise that I wanted to work with animals. I actually ended up going to school for a career in psychology, but I determined that I just really wasn't gonna be happy in life unless I was working with animals. So I've been working at a pet store for 7 years, and when this opportunity became available, it just felt like the right fit.
Help me share my passion with the world so that people will love animals as much as we do. What year did Brian officially open BHB Reptiles? If you said A, 1989, you're 100% correct. Good job.
Hi guys, obviously today's show was all about Brian's passion for reptiles. I know a lot of you are probably passionate about reptiles as well, but I want to know, what else are you passionate about? Leave a comment below and let us know.
So there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you want to pursue a life working with animals, I really encourage you to do so. And things are really heating up here for the breeding season at BHB. And as always, I'm tweeting and Facebooking my way through it. If you want to follow any of those adventures, make sure to hit me up over on Facebook and Twitter at SnakeBytesTV. Until next week, you've been watching Snake Bites.